So, hello. Okay, I'm back on the second part to talk about Vietnam. I feel the greatest country, my favorite. Um, there's so much to talk about. It's already hard enough for me to do all this with a simple cell phone. I have to carry my luggage around. This is just some of my stuff, and it gets kind of hectic carrying so much stuff. So even if you have a laptop and extra, electronics, it's adds more weight, and it kind of gets very stressful at times to carry extra weight, and also to protect it, you have to have water baggage and stuff. Many know that I go hiking and camping, and this is one thing that I did a lot in Vietnam. When I went around and drove around on a bike, I bought a Honda Win, an original Honda Win, and it was a great bike. Took me all over Southeast Asia. I went to Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, on a bike. It's very easy to go through these three countries. If you want to go through Thailand, it gets very difficult. You have to have full insurance on a bike. You have to have full insurance on yourself. Your bike has to be originally registered to you. And most bikes in Southeast Asia, at least in Vietnam or Laos, Cambodia, when you buy a bike, it's quite easy. Like, you buy a bike and they give you this blue card that goes along with the bike. And basically it's like a registration. But you don't have to register it in your name. Like, if you have that blue card, then that means that you bought the bike off the original owner. So you're basically cleared from the police. One thing is that if you drive a bike around, I highly recommend you get a international driver's license. Easy to pick up, especially in America. It costs like $30 or something. And it's basically, you sign a piece of paper and you send it off, and then they mail you this packet with your picture on it that you have to put on it, and it's just a money gimmick. It's not like you even have to take a test or anything for international. So but some of the countries and the police do know about this, and Cambodia doesn't really care. I got stopped one time with my not wearing a helmet. I paid a fine. It was like $3. And they just asked me why I didn't have a helmet on. I said, well, I left it at the place. I was just going to the store. I never got stopped in Vietnam, but I did get into a bad accident there. Somebody drunk hit me head on, and that was a kind of crazy story. Anyways, the police tried to get me and stuff. And luckily, I had the international driver's license, so I was safe. And but the police basically, if I didn't have that, they would have made me pay a fine. Like, you would pay for the guy, and even though the guy was drunk and everything, what do you mean? But this is how these countries operate, so you have to kind of just be sure about this. So this is another reason why I kind of wanted to do this video. I wanted to, not just express Vietnam, but I also wanted to talk a lot about other tactics for traveling and backpacking, and being safe, and, kind of knowing what to do and stuff. And I'm so busy, and, I also need to stop doing that, because the last video I kind of watched some scenes of it, and I always kept saying, So sorry about that. And, sorry I'm not a big editor. Sorry I don't have this, camera crew following me, and I don't have all this extra money to pay somebody to edit. And I don't even have hardly time. I am so do this, do that. I'm constantly reading. I read massive blogs of other people. I try to find out a lot of the destinations that aren't touristic. I try to go to places that have never been heard of. And if you have followed me, and I hope you have, and if you haven't, continue following me. I have many, many videos to see. Just hit the upload button or subscribe to me. And, make sure you watch all my other videos and stuff. Anyways, it's just very difficult sometimes to do all this stuff at the same time of traveling, especially how I travel. I travel on a budget. So I can't be spending massive amounts of money on taxis and, airplane to go even from small city to city. So I'm, on buses, and the buses aren't too comfortable, and you're so tired after a, long day of a bus. Or I'm on the bike and I'm driving, and I'm so tired, I have to set up. Man, I keep doing that. I have to stop. I have to set up a campground, a fire. I have to search my food. I have to check the weather for the next day. I'm reading blogs. I'm reading about things. And then when I go and I'm at a hostel or something, I meet other people. I'm talking. Sometimes I want to drink a beer, relax, do nothing. So always busy. Very, very, very extremely busy. You might not tell. You might not see it from your point of view, but I'm directing at you now how busy I really am. I am extremely busy. I mean, this is like a full-time job, like 10, 12-hour day job, nonstop. And even when you go on a simple vacation, you're tired, because your brain is so exhausted from learning so much and going to museums and reading and Googling things and looking things up, reading a book, doing this, doing that. So I'm very exhausted. My brain is just so overwhelmed. I'm so tired. And I look back on my travels and I'm so surprised of how much information I have put out to the public. And like I said before, I'm really grateful that you guys are sponsoring me. So please share my stuff. Please comment. Let me know, if I can do something better. And if I can write something better, or if you have any questions, I can answer them. I usually always answer everybody's question. So back to Vietnam. I was talking before on the first session about many things about the bike travel and how Vietnam is, when I go to a restaurant, they pull out the red carpet, and it's really just amazing. Everywhere you go, I'm listening to like my headphones and I'm driving my bike and I'm head banging and having a good time. Total freedom. You don't have to look over your shoulder. You can speed all you want. You can drive on the wrong side of the road. You can do anything you want. You have 100% freedom. I feel Vietnam is one of the most freest societies of the world as far as like a Western world. And most people in the Western world that especially have never traveled and don't realize, but many of these countries are phenomenal as far as like infrastructure, road systems and stuff like this. You would be so surprised of how they truly are. I mean, some countries like Bangkok and Thailand, you couldn't tell a difference between Bangkok and New York City. I mean, there's skyscrapers everywhere and billboards and lights, and the roads are phenomenally clean and everything is so nice. And you would just be so surprised. Well, Vietnam has skyscrapers and bridges, and the road construction is pretty decent in most of your places. But up in like the mountains in the north of Vietnam is like full of mountains, and up there is the roads can get a little bit rocky, a little bit dangerous. They can be like one ways, or it'll be like barely a 2-lane traffic, and there is always like buses or big trucks overtaking people, and they don't care. They overtake you, and basically if you're smaller, you have to get out of the way. So it's like you really like almost just have to like go off the road and park, because you can't even hardly drive off the road. It's too rocky, or there's such a long ledge and you can fall off the mountain. But I mean, it can get dangerous. I mean, many people die driving a bike. You know, they think that oh, everyone else is driving a bike and they can drive one. And please, you know, don't do this. I do realize a lot of people do it, and some people make it out safely, and some people get badly hurt, and some people die. And I really highly recommend you, if you are wanting to do something like this, get trained by at least a couple tourists. Not just one person, at least a couple. But I recommend you, I have a video on YouTube. You can how to check bikes and stuff. I want to do another video on proper way of driving a bike too, but I haven't got around to that. Anyways, you can watch other people's YouTube, or you can take a class. It's pretty cheap, like $200. You can take a class, and they teach you a lot of good information. And then you can also get your motorcycle license, so you can drive around in America if you want, or your country. Anyways, Vietnam is amazing to drive around and have the total freedom to do what you want, but it can get pretty dangerous. It can get pretty hectic, but I like it. This is another reason why I like Vietnam, because it's just madness, just chaoticness everywhere you go. I mean, from early in the morning, Vietnam starts around like 6 o'clock in the morning, but traffic don't start picking up until around 8, because usually most people start working around 9. But from 9 o'clock till like 9 o'clock at nighttime, it is non-stop traffic, non-stop madness, just everywhere. Everyone just, and then you're walking, like you can walk on the streets, and you it's like, I feel like Vietnam is like your nervous system, or your blood system. I mean, not your nervous system, your blood system. It's like a circular blood vessel system, and it just like our blood vessel system is just nonstop, just keeps going through all of our veins, arteries. And this is how Vietnam operates. It's non-stop moving all day long. It's and like when you want to walk across the street, everyone like at first is so scared because the traffic don't stop for you. So you just have to walk out in front of them. And most of the traffic is kind of driving at a reasonable slow speed, but it's just non-stop. But sometimes you get crazy people, but the crazy people are like super crazy, so they're like constantly like honking the horn. So there's just like beep, 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 like the whole time they're driving. So you know, like, oh, okay, somebody's coming like super fast. And that's like the warning sign. And, you know, like in America, they honk the horn like for you to get out of the way. And in Vietnam, it's more like, or I would say Asia, or Southeast Asia, they honk the horn to let you know beforehand that I'm coming. And so it's kind of like a reverse psychology in Southeast Asia. But I like it. I love it. I love the chaoticness. I'm used to it now, and other countries that are so boring, it's like, man, there's like no life here. There's nothing, you know. And Vietnam is full of life, full of opportunities. You can get good jobs in Vietnam. I mean, of course, right now is the corona shit going on, and many people have lost jobs, and tourism has really fallen off the cliff. But before, Vietnam was like, you can go be like a school teacher there, and you can literally make like minimum $20 an hour, US dollars, like really, really good money. And you only need like $300 a month in Vietnam to survive. So you're making all this money, and you're working so much hours and overtime because they always needed the teachers. And I'm sure hopefully maybe it'll pick back up, but if you are interested in like leaving the country and trying something different, you can always go and teach English. In most of these countries, you don't need to have a college degree or anything like that. And even if they ask you for one, just print one up off the internet. It's not like they're going to call the college and even ask. They just want to see the stupid piece of paper. And then there's like a test that you can take. I can't, TEFLA test or something like that. TEFLA. TEFLA or something. And you can take this test, and there's a 2-part test, or like a there's a 1-part test that is like part-time, and then there's like another test that's full-time. So it's like you can take one test that costs like $300 for the full-time, and it's like, I can't remember all the details and stuff. Basically, it's like an 80-hour test, or you can take a 40-hour test, and it's like half the price. And most of the schools will even let you take the part-time test, and they basically just want to see another piece of paper is all. And so you can do this. You can make good money. There's many opportunities. They have like other apps and stuff, and even Facebook groups where it's called, like, they have an app called Workaway, and you can go and join these groups, and you basically go to a place, a farm or a hotel, and you provide a little bit of work 4 or 5, 6 hours, and they provide you with like food, a place to stay, and sometimes extra money. So this is also a good way a lot of travelers do this and stuff that have no money and just want to leave their country and travel the world. So it's a nice way to go, but it does involve a lot of work, emailing and doing this and that. So anyways, I will start talking more about Vietnam. Geographically, Vietnam is amazing. You have the mountain ranges in the north, all the rice fields. You have jungles everywhere, but most of your jungles start from like the middle of Vietnam all the way to the south. The south of Vietnam is much more poor, but there's a lot of tourism there. So the middle of Vietnam and the north has more money. There's history pretty much everywhere, all over Vietnam. There's tourism is everywhere. There's always something going on somewhere. So many people go from Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon, which is at the southern part, and they go to Hanoi, which is at the north. Or a lot of people will come in and go to Hanoi, and then they do like a big loop around the north, which takes like 1 month. I did it twice. I went one way, and then I came back the opposite way in different directions and different roads and stuff, because there's so many ways of going places on a bike, especially in Southeast Asia. I mean, there's so many trails and stuff you can go on. So it's quite amazing to be on a bike and have the freedom to go where you want and do what you want. And also, you get away from the touristic places. And this also helps out a traveler really acknowledge the real culture about things. And that's what I did. I really learned about Vietnam culture and how things went. And like I was saying before, I would go to a restaurant. They would invite me in their home. I would stay in their homes. And so many places where people would just stop me, and I would drink with them and have a good time, and constantly drinking in Vietnam. So be prepared, because if you don't like people and you don't like to drink, then you probably shouldn't go to Vietnam. I mean, if you're older or something, then they probably won't antagonize you as much. But when you're younger or something, at a younger age, they really are like pushy. And like I was saying before in the first video, they sometimes can get too overwhelming, pushy about things. And I don't mind it. I like the attention, so it was fine for me. Anyways, an amazing country. There was so much going on. This year they were going to have a Formula One race, but it got canceled out due to the corona. And this was like the first time that tourism, a different type of tourism, was going to open up for Vietnam. And basically your tourism on Vietnam is a lot of it is either bike riding around, bicycling around also. People do that a lot. Or Vietnam is on the furthest east side, of Asia. So the whole entire east side of Vietnam is nothing but the ocean. And so you have all your ocean and water sports, and they have everything from jet skiing to, what do you call it when you're in the umbrella on the back of a boat, paragliding or whatever. They have all this stuff in Vietnam. Fishing, the boat trips to, the famous Ha Long Bay, scuba diving. But I will say, honestly, the water isn't too spectacular in Vietnam. It's quite dirty in a lot of areas. There are some areas that are very beautiful. There's an island at the bottom. It's called Phu Quoc. It's extremely beautiful. And there's some other places, Nha Trang and stuff. So one thing about Vietnam and a lot of countries are like this also, you have certain groups or certain countries that travel to certain countries, and it's like their hot spot. So like for instance, like Americans go to Bahamas or Mexico, that's like their hot spot. It's close nearby and stuff. Well, Russia comes to Vietnam quite a bit. So literally you go into some of these cities and there'll be like, you open up the menu, one section will be Russian and another section will be English and another section will be Vietnam. You have these like thick menus and all these restaurants you go to. And so the Russians bring a lot of their, what do you call it? Their Russian people, their Russian types of lifestyles. Their clubs and their dance music and stuff comes from Russia. Their women and all this. And let's talk a little bit about women. So in Vietnam, I'll first mention Vietnam. Vietnam, the women are very, very beautiful. And they wear these elaborate colors, and they look so elegant. And like they have like these purple and yellow dresses on. Like you would think any other person wearing that would be like, man, it's so ugly. But they pull it off. They truly pull it off. I don't know if it's because of their size or maybe their little light brown skin. But most of them don't even like their skin color. They want to be white. So they're all the time walking around with masks, full clothing gear on. They hate the sun. They're kind of like brainwashed about like not liking the sun, which is quite stupid. But anyways, this is part of their culture. But most of the men don't care. Some of the city folks, they'll put on all their long clothing also. But the countryside, they're all like on the farms with no shirts on, and they don't care. And they all have their umbrellas, and sometimes this shit gets in the way when you're walking on the side of the road and stuff. But they don't like the sun, so they try to do what they can to stay away. And one thing that is really good about Vietnam is that I know I'm kind of hopping around subject to subject, but will come back. And so one thing I want to express is Vietnam doesn't really have any religion. I mean, they have religion and stuff, but you won't find any Muslims in Vietnam. I never seen one Muslim, not one mosque, nothing. I don't know if they just hate them or they're not allowed there or something, but you won't find one. They do have like some churches, and most of their religion is like Buddhism. But honestly, like their churches, they'll have like a meeting or something, and basically people will, like, the church will be open afterwards, and basically the people will use the church to go and play on their cell phone or text message or call to be out of the sun. So that's their church. Their church, literally not one time that ever I was in Vietnam, not one time did anyone ask to pray over me or ask what church I went to or anything like this. And to me, it's I liked it because it's more free spirit. The people there are more free spirit and more live on the reality of what's going on now. And that's what I was expressing about on the first video, about them like forgiving about USA for the war. And they think like they basically are like, that's the past, you know, move on with your life. You know, this is kind of how they think. And I like that kind of thinking also. And they don't really have any like aggression or anything about how they feel about a different side of them. So this kind of makes them like who they are. The only religion I would say that they do really have in Vietnam is they pray over the dead. That's pretty much their religion. They worship their dead. They have their little side of their little corner in their house, or maybe a big room, and it'll be like pictures, flowers, and fruits and stuff they bring to the dead people, and they worship with candles, and they say their prayers, and that's like about their extent of religion there. So when the people don't kind of interact, they don't think in a different way, you know. I keep saying this, you know. They don't interact in like a different way to think differently. They just react as like, if they like you as who you are. If they want to say hello to you, they say hello to you. So there's no like, there's no boundary about this. And I like it because it's also for the women also. The women can go and talk to you, and they're not scared to talk to you. I mean, literally, I can be like at a bar or a restaurant by myself, and a woman would come up to me, hey, what are you doing by yourself? Come sit with us, you know? Or my husband's over here, he wants to meet you, but he doesn't really speak English, you know? And I like that. It's more free spirit about people, and they're more welcoming you to their country, and so many more opportunities you get to do things and to listen to their stories and to learn about their culture. And I like it. There's so much I like. The freedom, the driving, the chaoticness, the women, the beauty of the country, the history, the landscapes, it's amazing. Like, everyone would be like at the beaches and stuff. You go to the beach and everyone is like running up to you and wants to, oh, selfie, you know. But they're also very respectful. Unlike some of the other countries that you go to, they're kind of rude about it. And Vietnam's not really too rude about it. They're more respecting on the... Actually, the country is highly respectable. The country is respected about... They do things in the country like, for instance, if you refer to somebody, you have to refer to them of if they are older than you or younger than you. And you use a pretext before you talk to them. Like every single sentence. And so if you're younger or older, or if you are a government official, or if you're a teacher, or if you're a grandparent, or if you served in war, all these have pretexts before you talk your sentence to them. And this language is very powerful. You know, many people think that we just use language to talking to kind of get things and do what we want and live our daily life. But in a lot of countries in the world, language is very, very powerful as to how you direct yourself towards somebody. And this shows a lot of respect, because ever since you're a little tiny baby and you start speaking, you're always directing somebody in the correct format. And over time, this embeds in your mind, and you know that you will get in trouble by somebody else if you don't direct that person in this way. And this is a constant formality of how they live every single day. And to me, this is it's quite difficult. I don't really know the language and stuff. I picked up on some words, but I don't, it's quite a hard language. A lot of languages are quite hard, especially to English language, because English language is quite easy compared to the rest of the world. And anyways, so when the people are very respectful to even you. And so when they come up to you, they will ask you, hi, how are you? What's your name? Where you come from? How do you like Vietnam? Blah, blah, blah. And then they say, oh, can I take a picture? Or you'll be walking or something on the beach, and then they'll be like, oh, sit. Like the same thing as restaurants. Oh, sit, drink. And, another thing about Vietnam that's so surprising is everyone works together, and man, everyone throws all their trash and all this stuff out their windows and all, everywhere, man, there's trash. But at nighttime, all the people come by with these super big witch brooms, and they clean up the whole entire street. Man, spotless. There's not one piece of trash. And as soon as the next day comes, trash again everywhere. So it's kind of it's a big revolutionary circle of everyone working together, constantly doing things, helping each other out. One thing about Vietnam, it's kind of a double-sided about many things, and a lot of people don't really understand this unless you stay there for a long time like me. So when you go to Vietnam and you ask a shop, and you say, hey, what's your neighbor's name? And they say, I don't know their name. What do you mean you don't know their name? How do you not know your neighbor's shop's name? Oh, I don't talk to them. And after even their homes and all this is kind of their mentality about it. And but the thing is if somebody went into a shop and was stealing something, and that person came out of the shop, yelling down the street, going crazy, oh, thief, man, the whole entire street would gang up on that person, and they would work together. So you kind of think, it's wait a second, you guys don't even know each other and don't even want to know each other. So there's kind of a reason behind this. So during the Vietnam War, and when Vietnam was changing over to communism, communism is full of snitches and people that are tattletaling on everybody. And many people work for the government. And if you don't work for the government, if you don't snitch on people, the government can take you as a prisoner, because you're working against the system. So during the Vietnam era, the Vietnam War, and communists was coming in, many people didn't trust their neighbors. So over this time frame of even 40 years, the people still don't trust. They don't trust the government. They hate the government. None of them really truly like it. Even people in the army and police and stuff, they just do it for job or money or something like this. They don't technically really like how the government is played out. But I see the government, in a different little way, because I'm an outsider. And I think it's pretty good how they do things. It's not It's surely not a police country like America where they're arresting everyone or pulling everybody over, you know. And this is one reason why, like in Asia countries, you don't really see too many accidents in like the cars, because when people are driving, if you're constantly worried about the police pulling you over, if you're constantly looking at your speedometer and you're constantly looking at a stop sign or a red light and all this stuff, you're not concentrating on driving. And this is why everyone gets in accidents in America. I mean, let alone drugs and alcohol and stuff, but the basic principle is everyone's consistently not looking and paying attention of driving. They're looking everywhere else. As to in Asia, Southeast Asia, the people just drive. You know, they don't worry about how fast they're going. They don't worry about if there's a stop sign, because if they run that stop sign, the other car should have stopped. That's kind of like their theory. And it's constantly moving, like I was saying, like your blood system in your body. And there's lost my train of thought. They are aware of things. If they know that there's a 4-lane stop sign ahead, then 4-lane, a crossroads with stop signs, they know like to slow down and to look at other vehicles. But they know they don't need to stop. You know, if they're driving on the right hand side of the road and somebody is pulls out in front of them, instead of slamming on their brakes or something, you know, the car that is coming up driving on the road and somebody goes to the right hand side and the car's driving up, they don't slam on their brakes or freak out. They just drive around them, or they slow down. And the people, you know, interact and acknowledge this with their mind. And everything just free flows. It's very nice, very amazing. I really liked it. Let me think here. So I go back to Russia. So Russia, you know, has a lot of things in Vietnam, and they of course have their clubs and bars and women hookers and all this also. And Vietnam has it too. In Vietnam, they have these places. They're called karaoke bars, and man, they're everywhere. Even in small podunk towns, they're just everywhere. And you will be so surprised. You go into these hotels or these underground prostitution rings. Literally, they're underground. You go into a hotel, it'll be a fancy, nice hotel, and then they, you know, will bring you into this bottom room, and it'll be like so many women down there. 20, 30, 40, 50 women. You can just basically, it's like Las Vegas. You go and you pick them out. And it's so cheap. If you know the local prices, you can get an average girl there for like around $20. Very cheap. And massages, I will say, don't even bother getting a massage in Vietnam. They're horrible. They're probably the worst. I mean, sometimes they're okay. But if you want to get a massage that's really cheap, Thailand is the best place for a massage. You can literally get a massage, an average price for less than $10 for 1 hour. And they do really good Thai massages. That's one really good thing about Thailand is the massages. And Vietnam is like good for their food. So much food, so much opportunities of food. You get such a wide variety and lots of seafood because they're near the ocean, and they very cheap seafood. You can go into these seafood buffets. I'm talking a room the size of this room will be nothing but food, and it'll cost you like no more than $25 for all you can eat buffet. And man, you can get ostrich, crocodile, snapper fish or tuna, sushi, and all this other food. And it's amazing. Some places even are like $20, or I've seen them at $15. So it just depends on where you're at, which area, because in Vietnam, like any country in the world, is very different to where you go and where you travel and tourism and all this other stuff. Yeah, I just, man, I'm so overwhelmed on what to say or how to say it, and I think maybe I need to think some more about what I'm going to say. I want to do at least one more video because there's still so much to talk about. The history there is incredible. The history goes back so far, thousands of years. You have like Hindu temples and many history of Vietnam. The Stone Age was, going on in Vietnam. One thing about the wars and stuff that really hurt Vietnam is they attacked so many of these famous ancient historic places. I don't know if they did it on purpose or whatnot, but also the Vietnam people use these places as hiding grounds. There's cave system is huge in Vietnam. Of course, a lot of people know about how small the people are, and they dug out a lot of the holes and stuff like during the Vietnam War. But these caves and these systems were already truly pre-existing even before that, before the other wars and stuff. So they just keep digging and digging and digging, and they're so small people that they don't have to dig that much to go through these tiny holes. It's pretty cool to visit a lot of these places, and it's also pretty sad. It's pretty sickening about especially how America used so many chemicals. I mean, DuPont got so super rich off the Vietnam War. I don't know why people sponsor them. It's pretty sickening what the chemicals that did to the people, and it's even more sad that people still want to inject chemicals like vaccines. Like, come on, people, this is chemicals. You can already see what wars did to people. It's mind-boggling what people want to do. I can understand if they want to inject you with a vaccine that is like just the disease or the virus. That's one thing. But when they inject you with all these other chemicals, then hey, wait a second, question everything is all I have to say. I will say, about that. You should know. Question everything, especially your body. We only live one time. So, anyways, I will wrap this up. It's going on another 43 minutes. And I will try to make another video. I did write down some of my things this time to try to, express a little bit about what's going on. I pretty much covered a lot of it this go round. I will say another thing about Vietnam for this story, and then I'll close it out, is you'd be surprised about how rich Vietnam is. The people might not make a lot of money, and it might look like a poor country if you go there, but when you go into people's homes, man, they have, at least compared to America or a Western world, they have thousands, tens of thousands of dollars worth of furniture, all like this, but this is, made kind of shitty. But anyways, they have like rare and exotic woods, and every single floor in their house, every single bedroom will be fully decked out in all this rare exotic woods of furnitures, and so much money is in it. But when you talk to them and you're like, oh man, would be so expensive in America. Just one table would be like $1,000. And then Vietnam people would be like, oh really? Well, let's sell it, But it's you can't really deliver these exotic woods, and you can't do all this kind of stuff. But since the labor is so cheap, even the labor for like the furniture is very cheap. So this is why you can buy like nice furniture in Vietnam for super cheap. And a lot of people take this kind of stuff for granted. You know, they think like they think like, oh, America's so rich, so rich, so rich. But honestly, we're so in debt, so in debt, so in debt, as to when you look into their country and you realize you paid for your bike, you paid for your phone, you paid for your car, you paid for your home. Everything is paid for. So, you know, they don't realize, and they don't know the aspect of how much everyone is in debt and how much everyone owes monies to the banks in America. Yeah, we might have nice stuff in America, but no one technically really truly owns it until after so long of a period of time. As to in Vietnam, you know, all these people already have it. And some of these countries, you know, they just don't realize this, and it's sad. And I would say that Vietnam is a very rich country, and not just with money, but with their culture and their family values. All their families, they stick together. They really, really try. Even I've known families to be on drugs or alcoholics, and they're always still hanging out, coming to the dinners. Of course, every country has their problems, and every country still fights and battles with their problems. But I don't feel that Vietnam so much pushes the people away. They truly tried to help. I'm sure, of course, after so many times, they're going to eventually push them away. But at least they attempt to help and keep helping and keep helping. At least that's what I see. I see the family values of how rich they are in Vietnam. And that's just one reason why I fell in love with Vietnam so much. So I'll sign off, and stay tuned. Maybe I'll think about some more stuff. I'm pretty much covered it all when I just looked at my piece of paper. I know that there's probably more to say for sure. So stay tuned. I am going to make a new video soon on this phenomenal idea I do have. So I want to see what other people might say. So, you know, please comment. If you want to look at my Instagram name is Bro Looney, short for Brother Looney. So you can check me out there. And be sure to subscribe and comment, like me. You know, stay tuned for more for sure. Because there's so much more I have to say and talk about and express. This is just one country. And I'm already so tired. This is so difficult. It's not easy, you know. Thinking, talking. It's not easy. It's so much easier talking to somebody else and communicating, you know. This is why I need like a full-time camera crew around me. Then I would have movies and series on Netflix and everything of all the stuff I've done. So anyways, take care. Cheers. Happy days. Hakuna Matata.